what is there to talk about? You fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it serious. You know, that goes to show, you know, how serious he's taking me and how much he respects me.
Terence Crawford didn't hold back. He called this fight special, unlike any other in his career. With the weight challenge, the caliber of his opponent, the massive stakes, and the legacy on the line, Crawford says this battle will define his place in boxing history.
You know, this one is different because of the opponent that I'm facing, the weight that I'm facing, the level of fighter that I'm facing, what's on the line. The legacy, just everything as a whole is, you know, make this fight different than the others.
Brian Bomack, who is the longtime trainer for Terence Crawford, made mention of Canelo Alvarez, who called in Jaron Boots Ennis to spar before their fight. He said he didn't think sparring was necessary. He thinks it would not have any real value because while he believes that Ennis has high skill, Ennis does not mimic Crawford's style, timing, and ingenuity in the ring.
I know you saw him sparring with Boots. Give me your initial response to that.
That don't mean shit, man. That don't mean shit. That don't mean nothing, man. Boots ain't no Crawford.
That's right.
Yo, hey, like I said, that don't mean, all that shit don't mean nothing. That shit ain't gonna help him. He should have just got the last cab driver he just fought.
Bomack thought sparring would be something for the fans, but agreed that this would be of no value to Canelo preparing for a fighter as flexible and tactical as Crawford. He wrapped it up as more of a sensational conversation-starting publicity stunt and not a training methodology.
That shit ain't gonna, that don't mean nothing, man. All that shit don't mean nothing. You ain't no Bud Crawford. They don't have that mentality. Having that mentality and going upside your head at the same motherfucking time, shit, man. I don't give a fuck about all that shit, dog.
Canelo's camp has finished extensive planning. This time the task is different. Crawford is a one-of-a-kind thinker, a fighter who can turn on a dime in the middle of a fight and exploit any lapse in an opponent's timing instinctively, and with knockout power regardless of the division. Terence Crawford commented on his reaction to Canelo Alvarez's decision to bring in Jaron Boots Ennis to be his sparring partner. He said that he had never seen the news or the report that Canelo had hired Boots, but he was shown it by someone. Crawford downplayed the significance of the move by saying while people might see similarities between himself and Ennis, he did not think they were similar fighters.
When you saw that he brought in Jaron, what was your reaction? Like your first initial reaction when you saw that?
I actually didn't see it. Somebody showed me, and I was just like, so what that mean? He's not me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities and, you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not.
Terence Crawford sent a self-assured message to the Canelo Alvarez fans, who make no secret of their adoration for their idol. It is safe to say that he felt sure that the result would shock them. His demeanor was serious yet relaxed, which suggested there were plenty of doubters who would come out soon enough.
Everybody's talking about the size and, you know, me being a smaller fighter, but if you look on the stage, I've been sparring these big dudes my whole career. Like, how I'm gonna take a punch? They punch me every time we spar.
It revealed the mind of a warrior who would thrive in stressful situations and would embrace the challenge to prove the believers wrong. Crawford's warning once again made the build-up interesting. It suggested both that he was prepared and that he felt he would make a lasting impression in the ring.
We get in the ring and they see something different, like each and every time. There's gonna be another excuse. Why, the reason why Terence won and this and that and that is, but I can assure you, I'm gonna be victorious, and
After that, we're gonna have another parade.
The intensity of this fight itself, as we have seen during the build-up, is something that rarely happens in modern boxing. It's not just a cash-in fight, it's the coming together of two of the most complete fighters of their era. Coming off a dominant win against Errol Spence Jr., Crawford has locked himself into one of the most potent technicians of the game. Bernie, who is also Crawford's assistant coach, mentioned that there was no concern on their end about the news that Jaron Boots Ennis was helping Canelo with his camp. He mentioned they had complete confidence in Crawford and what he was capable of doing and working on, not with what the other camp was doing. Bernie also commented that external factors did not matter in their camp, as they were only focused on what was to happen next, paying attention to his plan of action, and the night of the fight was all that mattered.
I don't care that Boots is over there. Who cares? But they're asking me because it's out on the... They're asking me. So I'm telling you how I feel. Y'all mad at it? I'm not mad. Who gives a fuck? They was already saying that he should get Boots anyway from the beginning. So who cares? I mean, never entered my mind to give a fuck. Never. Let them do what they do. I don't care. Neither one of them can whoop him. Neither one of them.
You did say that. Yep, you did say that on the live.
Robert Garcia reiterated his belief that Canelo Alvarez had too much strength and physicality to get into trouble in the fight, but he didn't eliminate the probabilities for Crawford.
I'm not gonna put my money on Crawford either because Canelo's fucking strong. But I go based on Canelo's last two performances where flat-footed, one punch at a time. But I don't see him doing that. I think he's gonna fucking fight.
He also acknowledged that if Crawford fought with a smart design, using his ring IQ and being careful and not making perils for himself, he could pull away the upset. Garcia's take was respectful towards both fighters, but pointed out that strategy and discipline would be the determining factor for who was crowned champion under the pressure of high stakes.
Tough in this fight, so more likely Canelo's gonna win, maybe even hurt Crawford, but do I think Crawford has a chance? 100%.
Lithuanian fighter Mean Machine has been in the news lately about the big fight, and he has recently shared his take. He stated that his first instinct when the fight was announced was to disqualify Terence Crawford since he thought the size and power of Canelo Alvarez would overwhelm him. However, as time passed, he changed his perspective.
Crawford and Canelo, they're like two more like the favorite boxers for me. I love Canelo, I love Crawford. Even like after I fought Crawford, I become his fan. Like he's an amazing boxer. So when it was like rumors, I'm like, oh no, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boxer. I'm not saying like nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo, but too big. When you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size and that doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters. And Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be like even faster, and like his head works good in the ring. He's like boxing IQ just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
The calmness when it is time to be under pressure, his ability to analyze his opponents in the early rounds of their encounter, and his killer instinct has undoubtedly made him an icon of nearly universal appeal to his admirer and fellow fighters alike. From the context of a professional fighter, it is an entirely different area to contend with Canelo. The weight depletion, the anxiety of fighting a larger opponent with world-class defense, and the pure strength of Alvarez is a different proposition than anything he has ever faced. Antonio Tarver indicated that Canelo Alvarez had by now faced almost every type of style: slick movers, sharp counterpunchers, and powerful punchers. The biggest advantage for him is that Canelo could relax when in a predicament and make adjustments when he instinctively sensed that something didn't work.
Can Crawford win a close decision? I don't think so. I don't know. Canelo is Canelo. You feel me? So now that could be a situation or issue. If Crawford win 8-4, they say it's a draw, or they give it to Canelo, you know? So in the back of my mind, that's what's looming. I think
Tarver suggested that in this instance, it was unlikely that he would be able to exhibit anything to Crawford that Canelo had not already seen. Tarver cautioned that there were some significant factors with respect to physical endurance and size, since Canelo is a naturally physically strong individual with a proven chin who also has a demonstrated history of success for that weight, whereas Crawford was a trendsetter.
You would be crazy to think Canelo can't win this fight with his power, strength, and this man ain't never been hurt, really never been in trouble before, but that one time.
Shout out to Cotto, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, the one time, yeah, the Cotto,
the younger brother, the other brother, yeah.
That's the only time we seen Canelo shook up. So he learned how to either take a punch or not get hit with that punch. Smart.
In Canelo's situation, this is not just a major fight, but one that will establish his name. He has a lot of years of leading multiple divisions, employing every style imaginable, but now he is going to engage in a fight with his strength and as a ring general against what could be the greatest thinking fighter in boxing. Robert Garcia looked at how Alvarez has fought lately and considered it could be in a situation where his punching power is no longer as likely to take a devastating toll. He thought it was an opportunity for Terence Crawford and a legitimate shot, especially if the fights went long, because Crawford's timing and flexibility could be a weapon. However, Garcia was cautious enough not to completely commit to a prediction.
Canelo takes a good punch. Why not? But Canelo doesn't pressure that hard anymore. He doesn't put the pressure anymore. So combinations, movements, boom, 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 defense. Could get knocked out in the last round even if he's winning every single round.
The Mexican star operates with rhythm, accurate counters, and body work, overwhelming the opponents over time. But Crawford is not the kind of fighter to allow an opponent to set the pace. He switches effortlessly between orthodox and southpaw and establishes angles that lead his opponent to mistakes with counters delivered with surgical precision. This is what combines to make the fight so interesting because of the technical depth. Recently, the successful American boxer Alicia Baumgardner weighed the much anticipated fight and presented her view on some unique challenges Terence Crawford will face. She said the size of Canelo Alvarez would be the greatest challenge, as his size would not only make him difficult to deal with, but he has seen a lot of bigger fighters over the years, which would magnify the problem.
I would have to agree with the size. And I also have to note that experience is everything when it comes to boxing. And I feel like Canelo is a well-seasoned fighter, and he's been in the ring plenty of times with multiple great fighters. And we also seen him with Bivol, who he lost to, which didn't really do anything bad to his career. He just took a challenge, which Terence Crawford is doing. So I commend them both.
Fernando Vargas Jr., who at one stage trained with Terence Crawford, expressed his thoughts about Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford. He considered it a very interesting fight, emphasizing how possibly one of them could be in the prime of their career and the other could be a little bit past their prime. Vargas Jr. observed that even though Canelo may have lost some of his pop over the years, he still had tremendous power and an advantage in size.
Oh man, everybody has their own take, right? Crawford's the best skilled fighter ever. Canelo has power, he's on his decline. It's interesting because Canelo, doesn't throw as many punches as he used to. They say he's on his decline. Crawford, he's a very skillful fighter, very smart. I've actually had the opportunity to spar with Crawford, and it's always respect between me and Crawford.
On the other hand, Crawford and his team were locked in and focused as they relied on the intensity of their training to build confidence, to sharpen timing, to build speed, and to increase precision was the daily camp work. Because what was at stake was so great that dedicating that sort of energy to even the tiniest of improvements. Their plan was obviously structured and mechanical to ensure Crawford would be at his best in the ring and that he would perform well in the fight. Brian Mendoza realistically reflected on the matchup, and he confessed that he changed his mind more days than not as he considered both fighters' strengths. He did explain though that size was not as straightforward as that, and that Terence Crawford had added pounds and appeared physically solid, even taller when he came face to face with his opponent while facing off.
So I lean towards Canelo because of the size.
Yeah.
But I know the size thing isn't so so obvious, I guess, because Crawford is bigger.
Right.
Crawford is heavy, you know, like he carries himself, you know, he's very solid right now. He's taller, you know, when you see him the face off. So he is technically bigger. It's just the size it's very different when you carry that weight in the ring. That's what you got to worry about performing with.
Brian Mendoza then said he had no idea whether or not Terence Crawford could carry the weight of 168 pounds regularly. He said that although there could be an argument there was skill or technique involved, the sheer tussle of trying to fight a naturally bigger opponent is what could end up being the difference. He said, "It is a preemption to one of the most exciting matchups in boxing history, a match in which experience versus youth, reputation versus potential, and history versus destiny contend. All the opinions, trainers to fighters, indicate those slim margins that will make this fight. Yet once the first bell sounds, only one man will leave with his hand raised, and we can finally see who is on top of the world. Who gets it, the brute force of Canelo or the pure talent of Crawford? Enter your takes in the comments, pull that lever, and subscribe to further Fight Night breakdowns heading into the final boxing match of time."